Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Subs podcast, hosted by Harish and Narv, the podcast where two bros talk about all things footy, drop takes hotter than a manager's seat after a 5 game slump, and discuss who deserves our most prestigious award, Super Sub of the Week. Um, so it's football talk where you feel like you're right here in the room with us. So lace up your boots as we get underway. So Narv, who's your super sub for this week?
My super sub, I have two options. One's going to be a very rogue shout, a bit different too. I'm going to say Sam Barrett. Um, and for listeners who don't know who Sam Barrett is, he's actually a referee. Um, he was the fourth official in the Southampton Leicester match. Two poorly side teams, so it's already pain being a fourth official. But the main official, David Webb, got concussed because IU ran into him, straight up shouldered him in the face, and he got concussed off of that. Uh, Typical Vardy shenanigans came in, blew the whistle to stop play. But that was David Webb's first ever Premier League game in charge. So he only lasted 20 minutes, concussed, and then Sam Barrett had to fill in the remainder of that crappy matchup. But player wise,
Yeah, that
Brett,
was total. That was total shithousery by Vardy, though, blowing
yeah,
the whistle.
mm-hmm. Um, I'll say player wise though, just a breath of fresh air. Seeing my long lost son, Ahmad Diallo, back in action, man, it was great to see him back. And the cameo he had, especially in the Europa League, we've been missing him.
Yeah, he looked really good, and then even today, he got some more minutes, but he looked really good uh,
Mm-hmm.
today versus Brentford as well. Yeah, that's a good shout. For me, my super sub this week is going to be from Celta Vigo, kind of an old head, super old head. Is Iago Aspas. He is 37 years old, so he's kind of a legend at Celta Vigo. But at 37, he came on today. Real Madrid were up 3-0. It kind of seemed like the game was done and dusted. Uh, but then things kind of changed once um, Asensio went out, and I forget who the backup center back was. Ramon. He came in, and then on Celta Vigo they had two subs. One of the guys actually scored Swedenberg, but Aspas came in, got an assist. I think when he came on, the game really changed. He created a ton of chances. So it was cool just to see an old head coming in and getting the job done. Uh, they fell short. It was 3-2, but it was still a decent comeback, and they probably could have tied it up. Uh, Aspas had another uh, kind of move where he cut through the entire Real Madrid midfield, and it's funny. Like on the other side, Modric came in, made a cameo, and he's also an old head, and he had the opposite of effect of a super sub. He was giving the ball away like nothing. I was like, Modric, what are you doing? You're supposed to come in like secure the game. It's doing almost the opposite.
Yeah, Real Madrid they had a scare. I know that's not one of our kind of games that we have planned out this episode, but Ancelotti, that was a kind of a strange substitution taking out Asensio.
Yeah, I
I
have
guess
no
he
idea
thought they
why.
I guess he just thought the game was done and dusted, but um that's also goofy. Ego Aspas, like I always forget he played in the Prem for like
Oh yeah.
very short stint.
Um, yeah, it just seemed like Real Madrid. If they lost that game, I think the title race might have been
Done
over
and
for them.
dusted.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know they were praying for that Barca to drop some points yesterday. They were struggling for a little while.
Yeah, had to bring in the emergencies and Lamine
Yep.
Yamal and uh yeah, but I feel bad for Madrid's like they were comfortable. It kind of just took away the Arda Güler's performance because he had quite a game.
Yeah, goal and a beautiful assist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think if I did see a report, or we'll talk about this one towards the end, the transfer rumors, but uh,
Okay. Yeah. Can do that. But let's jump into before we jump into the weekend games. Recap quickly just the Europa League games, and then we can touch on the Chelsea Conference League game. So Manchester United versus Bilbao. I have to eat my words. I was saying a goal would come from Bruno Brilliance. It's the only way, and that I thought Athletic Bilbao at home would win, but Manchester 3-0 comfortable uh, win. I will say though, Bilbao the first 20 minutes or so, it was chance after chance. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure if you saw the game the same way, and it's not just my biasness coming out, but I thought Bilbao were definitely on the front foot. Um,
I think first 20 minutes they should have grabbed 2 goals, kind of had us in the ropes a bit.
oh yeah, you guys were definitely kind of barely breathing there, but I think once you got the goal, and then that third goal was kind of just a dagger, and then the
Mhm.
red card too, especially.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly.
think that warranted a red card? Where so just for listeners, right before half, Hoyland was getting on the end of a cross, and it seemed like Holland Hoyland, here he goes again, just messing up or something. But like on a replay, it did look like a foul, like he did get dragged down, but I don't know if it warranted a red card.
Yeah, it's I guess by letter of the law, it's a red, but it's still one of those where it's kind of soft. And this magnitude type of game too.
So did you feel like it was a clear goal scoring opportunity?
I do think so because he did get dragged. Like I feel like it could have been a tap in if he didn't get pulled back. Um,
Uh,
but I feel like I don't know. I guess you got to go with the law of the game, but it's just the magnitude of that game. Like it is a little soft. So it felt slightly harsh on um, Athletic Bilbao's side.
yeah, I don't know if it was like clear and obvious because I definitely get it. Like if it's one of those where like the attacker is behind through on goal, just him and the keeper, and someone drags him down from behind. But
Mhm.
like a diving header like that, I feel like isn't as easy and like clear, like that he's like expected to score.
I don't think it was a diving header though, was it? He was stretching out
Ye-
his foot.
I thought he was gonna go for a header, right?
Nah, he was sliding in um, to kind of just tap it in, but he got kind of yanked back a bit.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a clear goal scoring opportunity, I guess. And that's the only way that like I guess it should have been a red, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know that was a big debate, and then yeah, once that red happened, got the scored the PK. It was kind of GG. I wish we ended up scoring one more right before half. That was a really nice move, link up play. But I was hoping we'd. I mean, not gonna jinx it. We should be through. Um, but I was hoping for like a fourth or maybe fifth where we could just play a lot of backups. Um, just because it'd be done and dusted completely. But uh, yeah, because I was my prediction was we'd have like a 1-0 loss, be kind of close, and then
Hmm.
pull it out in Old Trafford. But yeah, this is a huge boost.
Yeah, I think 3-0 it would be really poor for y'all to bottle it, but it does seem like 3-0 there's still like a glimmer of hope, whereas like 4-0 is kind of like definitely a tough mountain to climb.
It will be like one of the craziest remontadas though, because a lot of the remontadas happen like even with a big deficit, usually happens on the home ground, whereas going away and pulling off a remontada, that'd be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like second half though after you guys went up 3-0, you guys just controlled that game, and
Hmm.
uh especially Nico Williams too. I was really disappointed in him. This was kind of a big stage game for him, and I feel like all year he's kind of struggled, especially coming off the back of the Euros where he was supposed to potentially get like a really big move, and then he was handed the number 10 jersey because he stayed, and he's kind of like a folk hero for Bilbao. But I don't know, he's been really disappointing this year, and then this game too. He just was non-existent almost.
Yeah, I thought he would give us more trouble than that. His brother, uh, true Bilbao legend, he had a pretty good game. Should have buried one in that
Hmm.
first 15, but I thought he was more of a threat than Nico. Um, Nico Williams. But we do got to give uh one credit to Mr. Sir Lamine Harry Maguire. That's crazy. He's moving wild.
Yeah, especially for a big body like that. Like he did look kind of slow motion when he was making those cuts, but still pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was like, how'd you, the defender, how do you fall for that, man? Um, yeah, but I'm really happy with that win. Also got some minutes for Luke Shaw again, um, as well as Mason Mount coming back. I didn't think Mason Mount had the best of cameos when he did come on, but still, just getting minutes under his belt after such a long injury, it's a good sign.
Yeah, I thought Manchester, as a whole, the first 20 minutes, I think Bilbao, like we said, dominated. But other than that, I think United were the better team after that, especially after the red, you guys controlled. I can't really remember anyone having like a poor game per se. I think everyone played decent, like average, or played well. Who were, I guess, your standout players then? Because I don't think there were any
Uh,
really poor performances.
no, I'll say Casemiro. Surprisingly, I think we're just saving his legs just to fully focus on the Europa League. So I think having like saved his legs for this game, he looked really good. Uh, of course, Bruno. I feel like he always looks good. The magician, and then Garnacho looks better, like than he started off at the number 10 role, but he's still got improvements if he wants to take that position by storm, which I don't think he will. But he's definitely looking better, and I feel like he understands that role more and more.
Yeah, back to Casemiro's point, I thought he was a man of the match. And just the night and day difference he's improved this year.
Mhm.
The first half of the season, he was kind of the laughing stock of the team. People were like, "Oh, he's going to be shipped to Saudi. Man's done." And then now he's putting in some really good perform. It wasn't just this game. I think he was the best player of this game, but like even the past few weeks, we've seen him kind of return. You can also see like he looks a lot more fit too. He doesn't have
Mhm.
that like fat that he was carrying in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think Amarim's done well to really like manage his minutes too. Where I feel like Ten Hag was like really reliant on him, playing him week in week out. Which at this day and age for Casemiro, it's not really smart to do that.
And then what did you think? I think the biggest talking point is Ahmad Diallo being back. What did you think of his performance? I guess I was a little worried, like because I thought he would be out for this entire year. It's like, oh no, hopefully he's not like rushed back into it.
Hmm.
We got it with a lot of players. But what did you think of his performance?
I thought he had a really good cameo. He played that wingback role, but still, I think that wingback role suits him as well. Because like for Amarim, it's not really like playing so defensively because he still gets on the attack a lot. But you could just see like the touches, like finesse touches he
Hmm.
has, the flicks over people, skills, creating chances for himself. Like that's what we need on the side, and that's we've been missing. You could tell that's what we've been missing. Like just a little bit of spark. What were your thoughts on
Yeah.
his cameo? I know it was only like not it wasn't a long cameo, but just those like several minutes was like amazing.
Yeah, you could definitely see the impact he made, and it didn't really seem like he lost a step at all uh, from before his injury, which is impressive because he was playing at such a high level. Aside from Bruno, he was like the only one performing consistently well. So it was impressive that he just kind of came in. You, I mean, obviously you knew he was injured, but like you didn't like if you were a regular just watching it, you're like you would have never guessed he was out for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, and then the comments Bruno made after the game. This man, he's uh, the Mount Rushmore of United players. He's on it already. I think the reporter was asking him like if he's fatigued just playing all these minutes and stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, it's tiring, but I love this club, and once I die, that's when I can rest. But while I'm playing, I'm gonna give it my all." I was like, proper captain.
Yeah, it was smart by Amarin today to kind of rest him because I definitely think he like needs some of that rest. Like I know like he's always kind of give it your 100%. And we'll get into the game today against Brentford, and you could see that United were missing him in that midfield, like his energy. But um, I do think like he needs some rest though.
Hmm. Yeah, I got to manage his minutes.
So you think he's on the Mount Rushmore already?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've been
United.
thinking that
Who
for
would be
a
your
while. Uh,
who would
player
be your Mount
wise,
Rushmore? Yeah, for United.
I think Bruno, Wayne Rooney, um, Sir Alex, and then that fourth spot. That's a tricky one. I think it might be it's either Giggs or Ronaldo.
Dang. You think Bruno's over both those guys? That's insane.
Yeah, I'm a huge like I don't know. Bruno's just he's a legend, man.
But the Ronaldo icon of him in like the AIG shirt, like nothing can beat
True.
that.
I feel like Ronaldo is more of a goat for like he'd be on the guarantee pinning Mount Rushmore for Madrid more than United. That might be a hot take, but I think
Oh yeah, for sure, especially with all the trophies he won
uh huh.
at Madrid, but um like United is where he made his name though, and he still won a lot of trophies for y'all. It was like one of the main guys.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of the best players we've had, undoubtedly. But like, as in terms of like best, I don't know.
I feel I feel like him and Rooney are shoe-ins for sure.
Him and Rooney, uh, Rooney for sure. Yeah, I think Ronaldo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that fourth one's gotta be Ronaldo.
I'm trying to think who else could potentially. You think Bruno's over Rio?
Yeah, Bruno's
Wow.
especially the time he's come in, like just when our club's been shambolic. He's been like the one piece where I feel like he could have easily left and stuff, but um, I think I don't know, he just represents Man United like just really well.
Mm.
I don't think we'll get like it'll be a while if when he does retire, call it quits. It'll be a while till we find a character like Bruno. I think.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one in a million. Like he's doesn't come around
Hmm.
often. But were there any other points that you wanted to discuss from this game, or we can hop to the other Europa League game
Yeah,
quickly?
we can hop to the other one. I think got 2 feet in the final, so let's get it.
Yeah. So the other Europa League game was Tottenham Hotspur against Bodo Glimt. Uh, Ended up being 3-1. I think Spurs they went up 3-0. They, in my opinion, I think they dominated the game. They probably should have won by more. And I really think they're going to be kicking themselves because at 3-1, I think Bodo Glint's going to be pretty optimistic and happy going back to the Arctic. It's a tough place to play in Norway. Uh, so I'm sure they're feeling like, oh, they have a chance here.
Yeah, that one
So
goal gave them a lot of hope, I think.
it was amazing to see how many fans traveled to London from Norway to watch the game, and how loud the stadium was once they scored that goal at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bodo Glint supporters out there.
Were there any players that like really stood out to you in this game that you want to touch on?
Um, I think the only player probably is I thought Pedro Porro had a really good game. I know he's just want to give him props because I know he's had a bit of a rough time not being able to be on the team consistently with Jed Spence performing so well. But I thought he had a good game. That assist to Madison was super nice. And I think just offensively and defensively, he gets some of his critics, but I think this game he did well both ways. Um, and also, like I completely forgot about this man, but Richarlison, I thought he had a really good game as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I thought both those players played well. I can't really think of a Spurs player that had a poor performance per se. James Madison was someone else that stuck out. I know we highlighted him as potentially being a guy that can that has the keys to unlock Bodo Glint. Surprisingly, they didn't really just like sit back um, and like kind of, I guess, quote unquote, like park the bus against Spurs. They actually tried to grab a goal, create chances themselves. So it made a more enjoyable game to watch. But James Madison, he still was a huge uh, influencer of the game. He had his fingerprints everywhere. Um, Even the goal that he scored, like that was an amazing. It was a great pass by Pedro Porro, like you said, but it was also a great touch and composed finish. But I thought James Madison was kind of running the show for Spurs.
Yeah, I agree to that point. Um, I don't know. I was kind of on the opposite side. I didn't really enjoy this game too much as a neutral. I thought it was a bit one sided, especially that first half. Like even though Bodo Glint didn't really sit back, like going forward, they I feel like they couldn't really create much. It's really
Oh
that
yeah,
second part of the second half.
yeah. I mean, it was just entertaining though because I feel like for Spurs it would have been harder if Bodo Glint would have just sat back and
Mm.
uh, but since they didn't, Spurs, it was a really open game, and Spurs created a ton of chances. They should have had a couple more goals, but um, I feel like that's why it was more enjoyable, just because there were just chance after chance flying by. So it was just super entertaining.
Hmm. Yeah, that was it was worrying signs at first of how early Spurs scored. Like I think it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think it was the second goal. The Porro assist to Madison. That was a great ball by Porro, but keeper, I don't know, man. Um, I know you hate the
Yeah.
goalkeeping critics from non goalies, but savable, possibly.
I don't know. I think when you're an attacker at like Madison's caliber, you should be
Mhm.
bearing that 9 times out of 10.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Because it seemed like he got the angle closed down, so I was like, dude,
yeah.
come on, he had it closed down. Got to make the save, but
No, that would be harsh to blame that on him.
okay.
I blame that on the center backs getting cut open like that.
Yeah, that was pretty poor.
But Ange definitely looked like relieved after every goal though, because like he's like relying to save his job from this game or this tournament, honestly.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think when the Europa League bracket came out, when we were discussing how United and Tottenham are on the opposite ends, we're like, chances that the Tottenham United finals, like, we're like, that's just going to be storybook. And I was like, it's going to be just so very United of us to be the ones to uh, lose and get Spurs their first trophy. Um, but then on the flip end, that'll be like probably the coldest like sports moment in history is like Ange beginning of the season saying I always win trophy second season, and then they end up winning the Europa.
Yeah, that quote would be that's an all timer if Spurs
Yeah,
end up winning this. Like he
you
says
think?
that with
Yeah,
Tottenham, that's insane.
yeah. It's bad of a season they're having domestically. Like if they win the Europa, like he's gonna go down as. No, I wouldn't go that far. I still think Pochettino's like the best manager they've had, but
Yeah, you're never gonna forget Ange though,
hmm
and like his style of football too, just has transformed Spurs.
exactly, yeah.
But speaking of Spurs, Harry Kane, that man finally won a first major trophy with uh with Bayern today.
Oh, was it
It was
official?
yeah, because Leverkusen ended up tying against Freiburg today.
Ah,
So it was funny yesterday. Bayern were playing Leipzig and they were winning, and Harry Kane came down to the touchline, and then Leipzig ended up scoring in like near stoppage time, so they didn't win it. It was like a few seconds left yesterday, and then today it was confirmed that they won.
yesterday would have been really goofy if Bayern won because it was like technically they won without Kane.
Oh yeah, feel bad because that man is one of the best strikers of all time in the Premier League.
Yeah, he
I know
deserves. Yeah, he deserves like trophies to his name.
it's insane, like how many golden boots he's won, like with Spurs and even an international stage with England.
Oh yeah,
He's always kind of
yeah.
he's never the guy to point your finger at to blame. Like he's
hmm
always doing his job and beyond.
Except, wait, he was to blame though in the one game. Was it France when he missed a PK? Was it
Oh
France?
yeah. No, I don't know. I remember that game. But
I
he's
think.
really the guy to blame. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Usually it's.
he's always caring and doing his job, and he's always like adapting too with Spurs. Like how he almost dropped in as like a number 10 a lot of
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
Most
Congrats to.
selfish, like yeah, top tier strikers, they're not doing that type of work.
hmm Yeah. Congrats, Mr. Kane. Finally. That'd have been probably one of the saddest football stories, like him going trophyless.
Yeah, we just need a Sonny to get a major trophy.
Exactly.
um, so yeah, we'll keep an eye on Europa League this week. Seems like United is got one foot in. Spurs just got to close it out in a tough environment. But moving on to the Conference League, so Chelsea, uh, we played uh, against some Swedish team. I don't really have any takeaways really. We just dominated as expected. We dominated. Second half, we brought on strongest team. Enzo Maresca said, "Let's stop playing with these guys. Like, let's get it over with." Nicholas Jackson had an amazing finish, but there was one guy at the other side. His name was Tomac.
Mm.
Uh, he was like a striker slash. He also played like a winger type role, and I thought he was like a kid. Uh, but he's actually 31, but he looked super young. But he was the only one that was, I guess, making things happen for Jigarden. But other than that, there wasn't really any takeaways on my end.
Yeah, I didn't really keep an eye on. that game either, just because y'all seem to be pretty dominant. Um,
Yeah.
I guess the only takeaway was like um, when y'all were up like 4-0, I wonder why um, I was thinking more youngsters would get a chance too. Like I know you guys got that one dude from Saint Etienne, like that 19-year-old midfielder, but I don't think he's made an appearance yet. I feel like this would have been a game to kind of bring him on. That
Hmm.
Mathis Amagu guy. Um,
Yeah, he's made one appearance in like the Premier League. Or no,
mhm.
in the Conference League he played once. Who did he play against? I forget. Whoever we played last round, he
Okay,
played. And then against Southampton too, he's made an appearance. But
gotcha. So hopefully that should be a. Let me not jinx anything either, but should be 2 feet in the final for you guys.
oh
So
yeah, I'm confident we'll make the finals. Um, and then the other matchup, that one was a little more entertaining for sure. Or it was much closer. Fiorentina versus Real Betis. That man Anthony scoring an absolute banger on De Gea with his weak foot too, right foot.
yeah, De Gea post game also was like, yeah, in training he's never even really attempted a shot with his right foot. Back at
Yeah,
United, that was a banger.
yeah, it was a really good goal.
But Fiorentina
But
got that really important goal.
at the end, yeah.
Yeah. Who else were
But
you giving props to?
props to De Gea though. He made a few really good saves this game. I thought he had a good game, but uh, yeah, it was funny that post match interview. But he was kind of giving his flowers to Anthony, saying like, uh, I guess like De Gea thinks Anthony's quality, and he's like, I'm glad he's kind of found his form at Betis, and he was getting like unwarranted hate at United.
Mm. Yeah, it's probably just the environment here is definitely like feels loved. Uh, but yeah, uh, I think Fiorentina, De Gea, as you mentioned, kind of keeping their hopes alive, and then I thought Real Betis were kind of like the dominating team, but Fiorentina kind of got that goal out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I don't know why was Moise Keane hurt. I guess I think
no,
that's what you had mentioned.
he had gone to France, back to France because of some family. He had some like family emergency, and
Hmm.
so he didn't train for like a whole week and stuff, and um, so it was kind of expected that he wouldn't be playing this game.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, he did get a few minutes, but I was wondering why he didn't get the official start. But that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he came on in the second half, but they just wanted to.
He had a pretty good chance.
Yeah.
But he's a key piece for Fiorentina.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of Anthony today, they came back against Espanyol, and Anthony scored an absolute banger. I don't know
Another
if you
one.
saw.
Jeez,
Yeah,
no, I haven't seen it yet.
he scored in the 91st minute to give them the win. And I mean
Jeez.
that's crucial because Betis are sitting in. So it's the top five in La Liga make Champions League, and
Mhm.
currently they're in seventh or they're in sixth with 57 points. Um, and then 4 and 5 is kind of up for grabs. Athletic Bilbao has 61, Villarreal 58, and then so Betis at 57. It's kind of those three teams fighting for 4 and 5, those spots. But yeah, Anthony, his goal. I don't know if you remember the Di Maria goal for PSG where he kind of like whips it in, and it's like the keeper just like looks at it. It
Yeah.
kind of looked like that. It wasn't like a first timer, but it was outside the box and
Mhm.
curving just like that.
Oh wow, you have to go check it out.
It was insane.
Um, and then so for listeners who, just to give you guys some info, the winner of Europa League, they basically qualify for Champions League, and then winner of Conference League, they qualify for Europa League.
Yes, sir.
So wait,
Looks like
what would happen if Chelsea, like, let's say they finish top 5 in the Prem and they win the Conference League?
it would
Uh,
go to the next spot, I think. So like there would be an extra English team.
oh, okay, gotcha.
So, but there's like a limit to how many English teams
Mhm.
can make it.
Gotcha.
So they would make it to like the next English team would make it to like the Conference League, for example, or Europa League.
Hmm. Okay. And then I know Thursday there was a lot with the Conference League and Europa League going on. So there was a Premier League game that we didn't really get a catch, but just for top 6 importance aspect, Forest did take a L to
Importance.
Brent.
I like how you said important.
I was about to say some another word, but then uh, I had a brain fog, and then I was like, let me not try to use like some elaborate word. So yeah, importancy wise, Forest, they, I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but I really don't really like the way they play. I like the players they have, but style of play I don't like. So they did take a L, and they're went from looking pretty secured to kind of dropping off a bit come near end of the season.
Oh yeah, it's been a pretty big fall off now. They're outside of Champions League position now. They do have a game in hand, but they're even if they were to win against Palace tomorrow, they'd have to score like 9 goals to be level on goal differential with us. So it's a tough fall for them. It's a good game to bring up. But yeah, jumping into some of the games from this weekend, uh, let's start with. Let's go ahead and start with Brighton Newcastle. Kind of get that out of the way. Um, this was a big game for Newcastle, especially uh, for same reasons, Champions League qualification. They were only able to grab a point, so they're sitting at 63 points as well, tied with Chelsea. Um, they're ahead because of the number of goals that they've scored. So goal differential is tied, so goes to goals scored. But I'll go ahead and give my thoughts for this game first. I thought Brighton were definitely the better team that first half. They definitely outplayed Newcastle. But I think it goes to show how elite of a manager Eddie Howe is because that second half it was a completely different half. Newcastle were the more dominant team. I felt like creating chances. Uh, there were what 3 penalty claims, but only one was actually like a true penalty. But um, I thought they were definitely the one most likely to score and even grab a winner in that second half. Um, it was funny that Eddie Howe like made Nick Pope fake an injury too, and you could see like all the players run to Eddie Howe so he could get in some tactics. Um, and then Anthony Gordon was also I felt like a game changer. He was on my short list for a super sub because him and Harvey Barnes pushed to the right, but those two guys were linking up really nice with Isak.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon almost that's a PK, the first PK that they thought they got.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like what, within a minute of him getting subbed on, um, almost like immediate impact. But that's
Yeah,
definitely a player that they've missed with injury.
yeah.
So
I
it was
think they'll be kicking themselves that they. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say he's always like he's a pretty direct, predictable player, but like he's just crazy fast. There's actually a funny episode I was watching on SDS, the Liban and Fu Izzy show, and um they were interviewing a former Newcastle youngster who plays in the Baller League. But they were asking like how training is and stuff when he was at Newcastle. And they asked who the hardest person is at training to like mark and stuff, and he said, without a doubt, is Anthony Gordon. Because he said it doesn't do it justice till you see him in person, just like how quick he is, speed wise and just quickness.
Oh yeah, I love how like direct he is too. Like he's
Hmm.
always looking for a positive movement. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the expected goals here. You could see night and day. Like first half, expected goals were kind of tied. It was pretty even, 0.17 to 0.25 favor of Newcastle, and then second half you can see Newcastle expected goal of 1.62 compared to 0.52. Um, but again, like it was just chance after chance kind of for Newcastle. And possession wise too, they were dominating possession.
Hmm. Um, I thought this was one of Isak's quieter games. I didn't think he really
Hmm.
had much of an impact. I know he grabbed his goal penalty wise, but I didn't think he had much of an impact either way. Uh, I think for getting only limited minutes throughout this year, Joe Willock had a pretty good game for Newcastle as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then the only other takeaway on Brighton's side is they really need a right back, I think, in the market. Um, I was surprised Max Weaver played out there, but um, they don't really have like a reliable. I guess Joel Veltman's reliable defensively, but like going forward is not the guy you want to turn to.
Yeah, and I feel like Lamptey is like he would be the expected right back, but I feel like defensively he's question marks. But going forward, he's better than Veltman.
Hmm. Exactly.
But I want to give out a shout out to Menta as well. I thought his goal was pretty elite, especially that like pause he had after getting past Livermento. Kind of poor defending on Tonali's part, but still, it was an elite move by Menta.
Yeah, he got fooled a little bit. Yeah, I think that was just like a elite thinking by Mente to get that
Yeah.
fake.
What you think about his celebration?
I was uh I was confused at first because I was like,
I
was it
was
in
so
front of
confused.
Newcastle fans? Because at first he was like one
Yeah.
of those like hands up, but then later it was like kissing the badge and like here to stay. I was like, wait, who are you celebrating in front of right now? I'm
Dude, it
confused.
was the most confusing celebration. Like, yeah, it looked like he has hands up, and then what did he say? And then he pointed at all the Newcastle fans,
Uh
and I
huh.
was like, "What?" I was like, "First off, these fans barely know who you are."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and then he started like pointing like down at the field, and I was like, "Does this mean he wants to stay at, or he wants to come back to Newcastle, or is he saying like,
I'm here to stay at Brighton because
yeah,
he's.
I'm here to?"
I was so confused.
Because he says he loves Brighton, but then he was like pointing at the ground, like,
Hmm.
is he saying like, I'm here in Newcastle, or like I'm making my mark here? I was so confused. Um, yeah, I don't know if he was trying to respect Newcastle or disrespect them, but
Exactly.
uh, and then if we want to switch over to the other game this morning, Manchester versus Brentford, 4-3. I think the score line is a little does Brentford a little injustice. I think they were definitely the better team.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
little 4-3 isn't really a true representation of how the game went. Um, but just to summarize for the fans or listeners, United got off got the first goal within the first 15 minutes. Mason Mount tap in. It was a really beautiful build up, but um, after that first 15 minutes, Brentford kind of woke up. My biggest theme is that you guys still can't handle set pieces, but also these long throw-ins, which is essentially like a set piece, were absolutely killing you guys. Two of the goals came because of y'all not being able to properly handle those long throw-ins. And then cool stat for Brentford, um, Wissa and Buemo, and now after his 2 goals, Kevin Shade, they're all at uh, 10 goals, at least 10 goals in the Premier League. And the only,
Even Kevin Sade?
yeah, after his 2 goals,
No way. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Um, I keep forgetting like his pronunciation because there's some commentators that say Sade, some say Shade. So I'm like, what's his name?
Yeah, I don't. Sade just sounds cool, so I call him Sade. But I don't know. It could be Shade.
Yeah. But now all three are at 10. I think that
Mm.
might be the first time ever in the Premier League that's happened.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Um,
But I'll let you take it away with so that's kind of how the game went. Brentford went up 4-1, picked apart United for a couple of the other goals, and then Garnacho scored an absolute banger, 4-2 with 10 minutes left or so. And it was like uh-oh, there's a chance here. Ahmad getting on the score sheet, but it was kind of too late at that point, 4-3.
Mhm.
It was kind of wrap it up now. So
Yeah, I didn't have much takeaways, honestly, especially after seeing the lineup. I knew it'd be kind of difficult. We were somewhat preparing for the second leg of the Europa League game, it looked like. But I will say, from our point of view, I thought Ugarte had a really good game. I thought he looked good there in the midfield, winning balls, even getting out of the press and stuff of Brentford. He was pulling off some. I was like, I did not know you had that in your bag. Uh, but Harry Amos, I want to like him, but I think he needs time to really develop. He's a little. He gets bodied quite easily. Um,
you can see a player in him, but he
mhm.
also wastes a ton of good opportunities
Going
on
forward.
attack. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he's known for. Was like he was dubbed as like the mini Luke Shaw at his academy days, but yeah, I think he just needs time on loan to really develop, build up his game. Um, Dillit hoping for a speedy recovery. That sucks coming back from injury and getting hurt right away. But I will say one player um, who will really impress me for Brentford was their right back, Coyote. He, I don't know, this is might be a big shout, but his style of play really reminds me of Denzel Dumfries. Very like pretty tall, physical. It's like an all around athlete. Looks like his style, like willing to run up and down. Just he was bodying like half our players the entire game. I was like, yo. Um, and then his long throw-ins, he got one of the craziest long throw-ins out there. That was wild. Um, but I thought he had
Y'all could not handle those long throw-ins like every single time.
it's like a corner for him basically. Um,
Mhm.
I thought he had a really good game. Um, he was really impressive.
What you think about Cheeto, youngest player to ever start for United? What you think of his start today?
It was all right. Um, it is tough when it's not really on him. Like having a, I want to say bad. I don't want to say a bad game because he is a youngster. Definitely will learn, but I mean, not having like one of your best creators in Bruno makes it a little trickier. But I thought he was okay. Um, Not someone we can like rely on, obviously, like to get us the goals. But for a youngster, I mean, I thought he held up on his own.
Similar to Harry Moss, like he has like his, you can see bright spots in him, and you can see there's a
Mhm.
player in him, but he's just not fully molded yet. I feel like Harry Moss is a little further in his development stage, but I think
What do
Cheeto's
you
still pretty raw.
What do you think for Harry Amos and Cheeto? You think both of them need to develop in the academy still, or go out on loan to like a championship? Um,
Yeah, I think Harry Amos should. I think he's further in his development, and he should definitely be in the championship playing a lot of minutes. I think Cheeto. I think he still should stay in the academy um,
I
and
feel like he
develop.
really just got this jump because like we were just in a striker crisis.
Yeah, I think he's really gifted. You can see the raw talent in him, but um, I think he's still kind of growing. He doesn't seem to like know his body too well yet. Like I don't know if you see him like when he tries to hold up, like he just seems a little off, like awkward
He
with
looks
his
awkward.
body.
Yeah, that's the good word. I always feel like that too. He just seems like a very awkward player. But he has some pace to him. But he just is awkwardness. Like
And I
it's
feel like it's
strange.
tough. Like when he had a like 5 inch growth spurt, so I feel like it's just that's a lot, and I feel like it just takes time to get used to.
Hmm.
But I do think he should stay in the academy and develop within United's system, and like be a closer watch under Amarin.
Yeah, because even when you're in the academy, like for these other like Carabao Cup games and stuff, you can get called up for those, I believe. So
Hmm.
I'm sure he'll get like minutes here and there still. Um, but yeah, to your point, I think he's still got a lot of ways to go before getting into the first team.
Yeah.
I will say it was funny. I don't know if you saw it, but like Hoyland when he was stretching, going like in front of Amarim, like to kind of. I don't know if he was like trying to get seen, and was like basically like saying like "put me on, coach," but like, bro,
You think he'll be in United next year?
uh, I think we might just keep him as a backup though.
Mm, I think he's gonna have to learn some. You think he knows Mandarin?
Ni hao.
Lee Kai Chelly. You know what that means?
Uh-uh.
Get out of here. or
Hey, yo.
or I know we're saving transfers for later, but you think he knows some Italian? But then
Kinda,
de qui, you know what that means? Get out of here.
hey,
Yeah, there's reports that
uh,
Juve want him.
Vlahovic Hoyland swap deal straight up.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I don't know. Juventus kind of be hating on Vlahovic. Even their fans kind of turn back. They're back on him. I don't know why, but
Yeah, I don't get it. Um, but were there any other? Oh,
I
and then
wouldn't.
real
I
quick,
wouldn't want Vlahovic though. But we'll. That's another.
why?
I don't think he's really lived up to his full potential at Juve. In all honesty.
Yeah, I don't think he has either, but I think he's a huge upgrade from Hoyland,
Mm.
and his stocks have definitely gone down.
Oh yeah, big time.
I would invest in that right now. Vlahovic.
I'd rather take the other bring in another Atalanta striker swap deal. Retegi,
I don't know, but I would rather have Vlahovic. I think.
Vlahovic.
Yeah, especially in the Premier League, physical.
Hmm.
Um, I thought another player that had a good uh game was Ericsson. I know that he's an old head that comes on and doesn't look great. Like, can be frustrating, but today was one he actually looked really good. Was making a lot of good, like even to Harry Moss, he had one like potential assist that he just blew. But it was funny the chance that Brentford were giving, saying he should have stayed at a big club,
Oh
aka.
gosh, man, we're getting clowned out here.
Oh yeah,
Ericsson would have been the perfect type of player, like in his prime years at us, like being at United. But I don't know. I always get irked when he comes on because it's like we're not going to be using you like you're Gonzo next year. But yeah, to
hmm
your point, I thought he had a decent cameo when he came on. That one pass to Amos was wild.
that was Bruno esque.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, let's move on to the last game. That we'll cover today is Chelsea versus Liverpool. Uh, this would have been more exciting if Liverpool hadn't wrapped up the league already.
Sorry to cut
It
you
was
off, but I felt like this game was slightly boring.
it was very boring. It was just Liverpool. Slot made what 6 changes uh, to the side from last week, um, and I think that just you could tell Liverpool were just lacking any sort of intensity until really I would say the second half. Um, and then we were on the front foot for the first 10 minutes or so, and then once we got our goal, classic Chelsea, like our cycle, what it's been, it's we get that first goal and then we just sit back. So it was like a team with no intensity going up against a team that was just very passive. It was a boring next like 25 minutes in that first half. And I think Liverpool, after we our 10 minutes of like domination in that first half, Liverpool had 94% of possession and they had over double successful passes that we did,
Mhm.
which is insane. Like the amount like we sit back and then Liverpool just weren't playing with intensity. It just chalked up for a very boring game.
Yeah, it just looked like a training session for Liverpool. Um, like very slow, no intensity at all. To your point, I think it was after you guys got the second goal off the Kwanzaa own goal. That brother had a horror show. I think there were a few players for Liverpool who had absolute horror shows. Kwanzaa being one, Trent being one. He had a big horror show.
Oh yeah. He was
Defensively,
getting cooked by Madueke.
yeah, but I think we've always known defensively he's really not that guy. But like even attack wise today, this man couldn't get a
Yeah.
pass to save his life.
So
Simicast, terrible.
Salah
Um,
didn't look too good today too. Like he wasted a lot of chances.
yeah, he did. Jota and Elliott non-existent. Um, yeah, so it wasn't until the Kwanzaa own goal where I think Liverpool were starting to actually try to create chances. They missed a few good chances, like the Van Dijk header, um, Darwin Nunes header miss. Um,
Salah miss
mhm.
header.
uh, but also, I will give props. I know this man. Uh, he's been getting criticism when it comes to the big games, going missing at times, hiding. But this one was where I think Cole Palmer did not hide. I think he had his fingerprints written all over in this one. Um, Especially that second goal. He pretty much took up the ball, and then Pedro Neto was kind of asking for it in that space, but Cole Palmer was like, "Nah, let me do this," and ran that
Hmm.
channel, and then got the ball in to like that really dangerous area. So I think Cole Palmer, and then even that first goal, that
First,
little like shimmy to put Curtis Jones on the ground. I was like, "Yo," um, and then that third goal too, just like the stop and like he does that really well. Like get the ball on full stop and then just change the direction real quick. Like he does that really well and kind of drawing that PK uh, for that third goal. Or was it him that drew the PK? I forget.
no, it was Caicedo, but he was like the one that passed it, but like Caicedo was the
Mhm.
one that got tripped.
Oh, I was thinking of the little quick when he got the ball like dead stopped and then did the turn, sent Bradley, and then he hit the post. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, like where he gave Allison the eyes that he was gonna
Yeah,
get.
yeah, that one. Yeah, I
Um,
thought Palmer was immense this game.
yeah, he had a really good game. Yeah, his like balance and like just like his body twerks, body
Whoa.
his body moves is like ridiculous. His trainer, I think is his brother. I think it's really funny though. His trainer's name, like Instagram name, is like Cole Palmer's trainer.
I feel like that's a very Cole Palmer like family type thing. Is like they're all just not strange, but like.
Yeah.
Like that video of Cole Palmer asking for ketchup at like this high end restaurant. I was like, yo, this man.
That was hilarious. And asking the waiter, like, "Did you make this?"
Oh yeah.
What? Um, yeah, but Palmer, I thought this was his best game uh, in my memory for this year. But last week or last episode, we talked about Odegaard having a really poor season and going missing. I feel like Palmer has entered that conversation where he's been very similar to Odegaard, missing this year, like drop in form by a lot of notches. But like, I still think the quality's there. Like you saw today, like he's still quality. I think it's just Odegaard. I think it's injuries, and yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for Odegaard. For Palmer, I really think it's just like him at the number 10. I really want to see him coming off the right still. And even that first goal today that you were talking about, where he had Curtis Jones on the floor, like it was kind of him coming down from the right, not necessarily playing right at the 10. And I feel like Palmer also is missing him and Nicholas Jackson when they're both in. Like I feel like their games are both elevated. So just missing him, I think hurt. But yeah, to your point, today he looked like his old self.
But I don't know. Like, yeah, he's had a bit of a dip, but I wouldn't say like he's really been missing. I think it's just last year he was just so like off the charts. Where like I think if we, I don't know. I think it was just last year was like an anomaly where it was like literally off the charts. So like it just was gonna look like it was a big drop, but I still think he's been like pretty vital for you guys throughout the year. It's just like some of the bigger games that he kind of ghosts at times.
I feel like it is a big drop when he hasn't scored a goal since January, and you're like our main guy.
But he still got assists throughout, no?
No, I mean
No?
he's created like I guess the expected assists he's created has been
Mhm.
relatively high, um, but no, like even his assist numbers have really dropped off.
Mm. Yeah, because I feel like Odegaard on the other end is just like kind of just. I feel like he's been a passenger. Um, Whereas I feel like Palmer, they still kind of try to run it through him.
Yeah, but even like Palmer, like the reason it reminds me of Odegaard is like their styles are similar. Where like they're kind of just like la da da, like the way they go about the game, just
Mhm.
they're like pretty casual and like they're not like eagerly like asking for the ball and stuff. They're both kind of like so then it just
Mhm.
like yeah, the vibes for both of them. I don't know. I was just thinking back to when we talked about Odegaard last week, and it just when I was thinking about Palmer today, like reminded me of that.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought he had a crazy game today, though. Yeah, as
Oh
well.
yeah, I thought our another player that was deserves for like one of the man of the match performances, Romeo Lavia. Um, he was insane, and this guy like he is absolutely press like resilient, resistant, whatever you want to say. Like you cannot get the ball off of him, and like some of the he does like these crazy 360 spins and like 180s, like even on freaking Endo, who's like elite defending midfielder, like he can win tackles. Like it was insane. Like Lavia is just when he's
Yeah.
healthy. When he's healthy, I feel like he's a guaranteed shoe-in starter.
Hmm. Yeah, he had a really good game too. Um, you guys got him relatively cheap, right? Because uh,
Yeah, it was the same window that we wanted Caicedo. That we got Caicedo.
gotcha. Um, yeah, I thought he had a good game, and to your point, also, just as you mentioned, Caicedo, I thought he had a good game again at that
Yeah.
right back coming to the midfield, going on the attack. He had a few crazy tackles on Gapco where it's like, I mean, they were clean, but it just like crunching like one of those
Yeah,
Gapco.
classic Caicedo.
Yeah. But
But
overall, good performance, and I think big win considering the matchups you guys have left to kind
oh
of secure
yeah,
the top five, right? To get
yeah,
Champions League, yeah,
it's a
to
tough
secure the
tough
top five.
schedule we have.
Hmm.
God,
Next weekend is going to be a big one.
yeah,
Don't lose
but
to us now.
nah, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully not. Um, but yeah, I guess across some other leagues, another shocker was just Luton. They've been relegated from the championship, so back-to-back relegations for Luton. They were kind of like they were one of the like Premier League sweethearts last year. Like everyone was rooting for them whenever it wasn't your team playing them. So
And
it's unfortunate.
they were more the entertaining ones out of the three that came up
Oh
the
yeah,
previous year. So
and then also Napoli, they continue their hot streak, still at the top of the table. But yeah, one player that I want to give a shout out to is just Scott McTominay. That man has been a real hero uh, at Napoli. But I think it also speaks to Conte. Uh, he's always been elite at profiling players. Like even when he came to Chelsea, I remember like the way he changed formations to accommodate for like Marcus Alonso. He knew his strengths, um, and the way he wanted to link up like Willian Hazard and Diego Costa. Like he's always been elite at profiling players. Oh, and Conte, but like it's clear what he's done with McTominay. Like he's almost brought him in as like a midfielder, but like also has him playing pretty high up as a second striker. Like he doesn't have to really be involved in the build up. Uh, so yeah, just shout out to like Conte and just also Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay just continues to score some big goals.
I guess while we're giving shout outs, another big shout out I want to give to is Claudio Ranieri for Roma. Before, uh, I know you kind of were giving me some stick for having De Rossi as manager of the year, Serie A. He got sacked quite early in the year, and then they had
Mm-hmm.
the Southampton manager come in interim, that Ivan whatever dude, and then he got sacked. So before Claudio Ranieri came in, Roma, they were only 4 points above relegation, and after Claudio Ranieri came in, they got another big dub today uh, against Fiorentina. So they're sitting in fifth place. Just they're tied on points with Juventus for that Champions League spot.
Yeah, the strike Dovbik had two some big goals here. I
Mm-hmm.
know that was a player that you had on your short list to like keep an eye on. Syria.
Yeah, it's funny the
Uh,
way Roma play now because he kind of went back to his Leicester ways, playing like a two striker kind of type deal.
yeah,
Um, so he's turned that club around.
yeah, and then also in France, uh, Strasbourg got the win against PSG. So back-to-back league losses for PSG. Uh, although PSG was playing a really weak team, just resting players for the Arsenal game this week, but still Strasbourg, their average age of their starting 11 this week was 21 years old. Insane. Um, and then it's cool. Paris FC, they've been promoted to League, uh, and
I
like
saw
I don't
that.
know if you saw their stadium. It's like literally right next to each other from PSG.
Yeah, I thought that was photoshopped until like I was kind of looking it up more. And it's wild, literally right next to each other.
Yeah, it's insane. Um, any other things you want? Oh, and then real quick, also, Leeds and Burnley promoted to the Premier League. Um, Burnley, it was crazy. They were going to win the league, and then 91st minute Leeds scores to lift the trophy. They almost bottled it like last year under Enzo
Oh,
Maresca.
jeez.
Yeah.
Wait, who bottled?
Leicester.
Gotcha. Leeds
Yeah.
bottled it.
Or no,
Gotcha.
yeah, when, Maresca was coaching for Leicester. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Um, I just like the Burnley celebrations in the locker when they were officially when it was official that they were going to be promoted. Though secured the second spot when they had Natasha Bedingfield.
Oh, yeah.
I still listen to her songs. Her songs never get old. Uh,
Yeah, she's clinging on to 2004 still.
hmm um, and then I guess one just a quick other takeaway. I know we didn't really have it on our schedule, but I was really surprised at Arsenal versus Bournemouth. Not the fact they took a loss, but the fact that they actually played their like strong 11. Um, I was I was expecting them to play a really weak squad to rest up for the big Champions League night, but they played their full strong 11, and Bournemouth looked good second half.
Mhm.
First win versus Arsenal in the Prem.
Yeah.
So,
And then let's touch on any transfer news that you've been seeing. Any big names that have come across?
um, not really big names, but I did see one that seems a little iffy. Money laundering type stuff. So there's reports that uh, Real Madrid, and I guess this is why United. I think when Ronaldo went to Real Madrid is like when United fans like became closeted Madrid supporters when they do watch like La Liga and stuff. But Real Madrid want Man United to use their I think 16 mil buyback clause on Alvaro Fernandez from Benfica, and then Real Madrid said they'll purchase him from United once United use a buyback. Purchase him for like 40 mil instead of paying this I think 70 mil that Benfica are asking for straight up.
Mm, That's smart, but also feels very collusion esque. Should be illegal type work.
Mm-hmm. Um, and then I know last week you mentioned Jamie Vardy. Uh, is he announced like leaving Leicester? But
Hmm.
apparently, Leeds are interested in signing him to bring experience to the Prem next year. Um, and then the only other transfer news I saw was apparently uh, the Xabi Alonso deal is pretty much close to happening of him being Madrid manager. And so it looks like Mr. Eric Ten Hag potentially has a new job at Leverkusen.
Mm. Ooh, that would be interesting. I
Mhm.
hope Warts gets a move though. Um, Not because he's going to be under Ten Hag, but I think it's time for him to also leave, go to a bigger club.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the biggest transfer news that I've seen that I'm really nervous about happening uh, is Morgan Gibbs White. There's heavy links to him going to Man City. The reason this scares me is because I think Morgan Gibbs White fits in perfectly into that squad. I think he's going to be a every game type, or yeah, every game shoe in as a starter. I think he's going to be the perfect replacement for De Bruyne. I like him better than Wirtz for Man City, because I think for like Pep, he just checks all the boxes. Like he's naturally like the number 10, like, and also if you look at some of the advanced stats and analytics, like Gibbs White has created a ton of chances for Nottingham, but aside from the like traditional 10, like he also can play the 8, and like especially in that Nottingham team, you can see the work that all the players have to put in defensively, and that's Gibbs White included. So he's going to do that work, which Pep kind of demands. And So I think Pep is just going to love his off the ball work, but then also like he's been effective going forward, which is going to be, and he's like led a lot of the attacks for Nottingham. So, and he's also like a homegrown English player, which helps City. But I think he just checks all the boxes for Pep, and I think he'd be like a really good replacement for De Bruyne.
Interesting. That'd be a big loss for Forest if they end up
Oh
qualifying
yeah,
for Europe. Um,
because they don't really have another profile like him.
yeah, I don't think so. Where would you like to see Wirtz go? Um, if he does end up getting the big move this year.
I would like to see him at in the Premier League, like one of the top teams. But I kind of want to see him at Newcastle. I feel like that would be really fun to see him and Isak link up. And I don't know. I feel like Newcastle, they have the money now and like the freedom to go out into the transfer market. I haven't really seen links to him at to Newcastle, but um, I feel like he would fit in well with that system, especially like being surrounded by a midfield that has like there's an engine behind him where he doesn't really have to
Mhm.
be so involved with the defensive work.
That's a good shout. Um, I think he would fit in well at I think Barcelona. I think he might get that move. Be the basically
To
Barca's
Barcelona.
gonna have to
Ah,
take out Danny Olmo and Fermin Lopez. Goodbyes.
yeah, I would feel really bad because Fermin Lopez he's been under the radar pretty good this year.
Yeah, he kind of came out of nowhere. I feel like 'cause
Hmm.
it's only been the past maybe few weeks where I really started to take notice of his game. Um, I don't know, kind of earlier in the year, there were a lot of Barca fans that were hyping him up, and I didn't really see the hype that much. But even now, I don't see the hype too much. I feel like he's kind of like more of just a workhorse, but
I don't know. I feel like going forward, he's slots in kind of nice at the like as a like second striker almost, but then he drops in pretty deep to defend. I don't
Mhm.
know. I like
Do you like his
his
style?
role at Barca. Yeah.
Yeah, but they got a big week coming up. Um, what's your I guess before we kind of hop off, I don't know if we did our predictions from last.
Yeah,
Um,
we did
we
last
did.
episode.
Okay.
Yeah, for Champions League.
Hmm.
And I think Europa League, we've kind of touched on who we think will move on. Um, and I guess other games to keep an eye on next weekend, or I guess we can cover that next episode. We'll probably do a midweek quick recap of the Champions League. Um, so yeah, Tuesday Inter Barca, Wednesday PSG Arsenal, and then uh, Thursday is the other European European League games.
Gotcha. Um, and then before wrapping it up as well, I'll just touch on a few other games tomorrow. To end the Premier League week, we got Palace versus Forest. Um, and then Saturday, I'll cover Premier League Saturday, and then you can cover like around the world. Um,
Oh, we can do that during the midweek, like games
oh,
to
during the
watch.
midweek.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that works. Um, so, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll be back next time to talk more footy, highlight some game-changing super subs, and drop even more takes hotter than a derby day. If you've enjoyed the chat, make sure to subscribe, drop us with the rating, and share the pod with family and friends. But until then, keep the football chatter alive, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.